Christopher Maya,
Jake Gogans,
Irina Huang.
The Lost Generation of China.
Victims or victimizers?
In 1949, after the successful overthrow of the nationalist Kuomintang Party, Communist leader Mao Zedong from the People's Republic of China. Under his rule, Mao continuously sought to solidify the communist state, a persistence that would reach its peak during the Cultural Revolution. In November of 1965, a play written by the deputy mayor of Beijing was criticized for its alleged anti-Maoist message. Right away, intellectual and cultural life became associated with anti-socialism.
By the summer of 1966, a book of Chairman Mao's quotations, known as the Little Red Book, became the guide for the people of China when Mao officially launched his Cultural Revolution, meant to cleanse China of, quote, a sinister anti-party and anti-socialist line, which is opposed to Chairman Mao's thought, unquote.
During the Cultural Revolution, China's youth served as both victims and victimizers. As victims, youth were brainwashed into blindly following Mao's ideas. However, as victimizers, youth took the revolution into their own hands, often using murderous or violent tactics to eliminate those deemed anti-revolutionary. Whether victims or victimizers, the youth exited the revolution as a generation psychologically scarred and deprived of an education.
On May 25th, 1966, a big character poster was posted by Nia Yunxi, a criticism of her administrators. Nia's spirit of criticism would spread into the minds of students, who created an organization called the Red Guards. These Red Guards would soon become the leaders of the Cultural Revolution. Hey, Ming, what are you doing here so late?
Oh, I was just reading some of Mao's quotations. Why are you here?
I was at the first meeting for our Red Guard unit.
All right, that was today.
I'm surprised you weren't nominated. I've heard you're very articulate in class discussions.
Well, Lee came to me after class and said that he couldn't nominate me, but didn't tell me why.
Well, there's a rumor going around that your grandfather was a landlord. Was he?
Yes, but I never even met my grandfather. How do his actions define me?
How can you not understand if you have such filth in your background? You and your grandmother are very close. There's no doubt that she was influenced by your grandfather's ideas. If you ever want to be a Red Guard, you have to revolt yourself.
Am I an enemy of the Cultural Revolution just because of my family background? Who my grandfather was has nothing to do with my revolutionary spirit. Children with better backgrounds, like party officials or peasants, get to speak regardless of their skill, while my revolutionary ideas have always been silent.
Make you sound like a capitalist. Do you hear what you're saying? Mao calls on us to create equality amidst this class struggle, and anyone with a landlord background could never understand equality. If you're not willing to remold yourself, I'm gonna have to bring this up at the next Red Guard meeting.
Wait, don't do that, please. I will remold myself, I promise. I will separate myself from my family.
Good.
In approval of the Red Guards, Mao encouraged his followers to outwardly challenge capitalist representatives in educational fields. After the broadcast of Nia's big character poster, schools ceased their regular curriculum so students could thoroughly criticize authority.
Though I am your teacher, I have not been a good example of a loyal follower of Mao. I have made mistakes because I am not politically conscious enough. I have not guided you to be good Maoists, and for this, I am sorry.
You call that a self-criticism? Keep going.
I hope that you can forgive me and allow me to become a teacher with both socialist consciousness and culture.
Ha! All you've done is corrupt the students of this school with capitalist ideas. Last year, you made us read Tom Sawyer by Mark Twain. The only English book we are permitted to read is the precious Little Red Book. How dare you instruct us to read something so full of Western values?
They were teaching Tom Sawyer at the school before I even came to it. I never meant to corrupt you.
That's no excuse. If you let the class struggle continue, you're just as bad as those who started it.
Old authority like you has to be challenged. We cannot trust the authority of the past. And you are the worst example of it.
You will not be free until you admit to your wrongdoings.
Will you change?
Yes. I will remold myself for the revolution.
Long live Chairman Mao!
In truth, I never did any of those things. I'm a true follower of Mao. This revolution is corrupting my students' minds. They used to be so obedient, loving, respectful. I'm afraid that in the days to come, things will only become more violent.
Beyond schools, Mao issued the Four Olds campaign, a call for the destruction of old customs, culture, habits, and ideas, to bring the areas of education, art, and literature in line with communist ideology. Despite being loyal followers of Mao, many Red Guards hesitated to participate in the dehumanizing violence.
Open up! The Red Guards have come to search your house!
Come in. Oh,
Remember, leniency for confession, severity for resistance. What are you trying to hide?
nothing, and you're not the police. By what law are you coming to search my home?
Why are you afraid if you have nothing to hide? Chairman Mao calls on everyone to support the Red Guards and their revolutionary action. What's this?
That's nothing.
You were once a member of the Kuomintang? How can you even think to call yourself a true follower of Mao? Get down! So, you're preparing for the return of the Kuomintang, huh? Just Waiting for the anti-Mao government to rise again so you can show them your certificate? Then you'll get your good job and capitalist lifestyle back, right? Admit to your counter-revolutionary thoughts!
I hope he's not seriously injured. I had never beat anyone before becoming a Red Guard. I'm just a kid. All over China, Red Guards have been beating, even killing teachers. And now, these home raids have turned violent as well. No, my thoughts are dangerous. Why am I talking like a counter-revolutionary? I have to do this for Mao, for the success of our revolution. I must not feel bad for this man. People like him are enemies of our dear Mao.
By 1967, the Red Guard movement had split into rival factions, pitting youth against one another in a perpetual struggle for power, often in violent conflicts.
We're all Red Guards, yet we're fighting each other. I think I just saw Lee, that new boy in our group, kill someone.
Yesterday, somebody reported seeing dead bodies of kids like us floating down the river.
Why are we even fighting that other group?
They're conservatives, Lon. That's reason enough. All you need to know is that they're capitalist voters, and they don't deserve a place in China.
Maybe, but I know that none of these people deserve to die. No one I know, conservative or leftist, has ever denounced Mao. What really separates us?
Mao believes in our radical cause. He supports our fight. And besides, Mao did say revolution is not a dinner party.
That doesn't mean we have to fight. This is anarchy, not communism.
I think someone's coming.
We better go, before we get killed.
Beginning in 1968, during what is known as the Russification movement, Mao began to send city youth to the countryside, ostensibly to be re-educated by the peasantry. In reality, however, Mao desperately needed to find a way to reconcile a state of peace. This was 10 years after Mao's great leap forward, his failed attempt at accelerating China at the rural level.
Did you know our host mother had a sister?
Really?
Yeah, she died during the Great Leap Forward. Apparently conditions here were really bad back then because the government didn't want them growing crops that probably could have thrived here. I just don't understand. Isn't this supposed to be an egalitarian state?
Well, these past few years that we've been here have really made me question my place in the state. I used to be a Red Guard. Back then, I knew exactly what I was fighting for. I never had any doubts. But now, I just can't help but wonder what this cultural revolution really is. Look at us, stuck here in the countryside, when we should be getting an education, becoming the promising future of China.
Finally, my day is over.
May, are you all right?
When was the last time you ate?
Last night, but it's not a big deal. Well, good night.
Wait, May, don't you see anything wrong with the life you're living?
What do you mean? I'm living the life of a peasant, just as Mao instructed.
May, none of us belong here, though. Can't you see? The farmers don't want us here because we're unskilled. We can't work the land like they do. That's why you're so overworked all the time. In school, you were the top of your class, living with the dream to become a scientist. And just like that, it's gone. This isn't right.
Don't talk like that.
And not to mention, you'll never be able to go home.
What do you mean it's not like we'll be here forever?
But May will be. She loves that boy, and he's the son of a farmer. The government will never let her leave if she marries him. You'll never be able to become a scientist living here. Your future, lost. Your education, lost. The person you were supposed to be, lost.
No, I don't matter as an individual. I exist for Mao. Why are you trying to blame Mao for our hardships? Without his guidance, this revolution would never have been possible.
The Cultural Revolution simmered down in the 70s, but officially ended upon Mao's death in 1976.
Today the question is, really, what was the Cultural Revolution? Some chalk it up to be Mao's attempt to remove challengers on the political front. Others say that Mao truly had a vision for the perfect communist state.
But does it really matter why the revolution started? What matters is that being young during this time meant you had to react. You had to decide whether to sit back and receive criticism or stand and criticize others.
The youth of this decade, known as the Lost Generation, came out of the revolution with a reformed mind. A new understanding of the government's role in leaving behind a generation with no education, a murderous past, torn families, and thus inevitably an unclear future.